Welcome to the Marketing Leadership Podcast, brought to you by Dots Loves Marketing. Join your host, Dots Oyobulu, as he learns from CMOs, seasoned marketers, and agency owners about the state of marketing, strategic marketing insights, and actionable steps for growth. Connect the dots and enjoy the latest episode.
Hi, marketers. This is Dots, and welcome to the Marketing Leadership Podcast. With me here is Manick Bhan, founder and CEO at LinkGraph, a digital marketing firm that helps agencies and enterprise brands scale through data-driven SEO. A member of the Inc. 5000 Awards and winner of the Drum Search Awards. He is also the creator of Search Atlas, an SEO automation platform used by thousands of brands and agencies. Product Hunt, Product of the Day and Week, and nominated for the Best SEO Platform by the Global Search Awards. Manick is a keynote speaker, industry conferences like the Brighton SEO, Affiliate Summit, Traffic and Conversion, and many more. And we will today be talking about scaling organic search growth through SEO automation. I know you guys are ready, so let's get it. Hi, Manick. Welcome to the Marketing Leadership Podcast. How are you doing?
Hey, Dot. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh yeah, awesome. Could we just start by you telling us a bit about yourself and how I just in looking at my introduction there, you've achieved so much, and it's just amazing the kind of things that you've done over the years. So, could you please tell us what your career story has been and the journey?
Absolutely. Appreciate that. So I've spent most of the last 10 years leading growth teams for startups. That's my passion. Some are my startups and some are friends of mine's companies. Back in 2013, I founded a virtual reality ticket marketplace. It was my first tech company. It's where I cut my teeth and learned how to code. And it was a VR marketplace for live entertainment ticketing called Ruckus, which I fortunately years later sold to StubHub and TickPick. And afterwards, I ran growth teams for e-commerce brands and some SaaS companies, helping them growth hack and find their product market fit. And along the way, what I really realized is all these companies are solving many of the same common digital marketing challenges and trying to grow their presence on Google and find paid advertising channels that have positive ROI while those clicks are becoming more expensive year over year. So working with these brands, understanding what problems they had, including from the startups that I started myself, we created playbooks and developed some technology that allowed these brands to scale their SEO. There was a lot of spaghetti being thrown against the wall, but we found a lot of strategies that were very scalable and worked beautifully. And so those playbooks and those strategies and the technology came together to become LinkGraph. And today, LinkGraph now powers over 500 agencies and brands globally through our platform. And the proprietary technology we created is called Search Atlas. And we've been releasing parts of that technology that LinkGraph uses for brands and marketers and firms. And now we have over 10,000 active users on the platform and growing every day. So it's been a great journey. And SEO is a passion of mine, something that I've really enjoyed learning, and the industry is always changing. So it's been just a remarkable journey over the last 10 years.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, and thanks for also giving us some insights on what Search Atlas is. Um, often fortunate to meet marketers like yourself who's not only, cut their teeth in the marketing game in terms of operations, but also developed products or solutions that help other marketers reach their goals. So that's really, inspiring. Just a side note here. In your website, I found a term, transparent driven SEO. How did you come about that? I imagine you've had a lot of marketers, dump ethical marketing, like they just want to make money and give people vanity metrics and grow nothing. So how did you come about that? What has been your experience with people who do not sincerely grow companies through marketing versus those who do?
Absolutely. It's a great topic. And it's one that a lot of marketers are probably like, they're kind of like leaning back in their seats here, a little bit uncomfortable. My philosophy toward marketing is, if you're a marketer and you charge a brand X, you have to deliver 5 to 10X results. Otherwise, you're taking resources from them. You're not actually helping them grow. It's really like a karma type of philosophy. So where transparent and results oriented SEO comes in is us, in our practice working with all these brands, is us being able to show them consistent results that, as a result of their investment in content marketing, link building strategies, technical optimizations, that all these things that are part of the SEO toolkit will advance their site's performance and grow it. And I think actually a lot of times one of the hard things about SEO is that there are some charlatans out there that give it sort of a bad rap and don't really get results, but say that they can do it. And so they've kind of poisoned the well for other folks who actually are doing really good work. And so now what I think has happened in the industry is it's become really important to be able to show to either stakeholders that if you're working within a brand or organization, showing the leadership team that what you're doing is working. If you're a marketer and you're working with multiple brands, or you're an agency and you're servicing brands, being able to show them results. And the tools that have just gotten better and better to allow us to show progress and momentum, because there are many different KPIs you can show that indicate that progress is being made. The first one would be rankings, right? Showing that your rankings are moving up. That's a trailing indicator. Our rankings move up, and then what happens? Well, then we start to get more search impressions on Google. The impressions increase, people are seeing our page in the search results. And then finally, after that, we get clicks, right? We get traffic to the site. And then traffic becomes conversions. So ultimately, the key stakeholders, they want to see revenue, they want to see dollars. But we have to lead them along the journey, because some brands really don't have any visibility or weak visibility. So we have to show them those signals that are leading us in the direction we want to go, until we can eventually get to the revenue. And once you get to revenue, everyone knows, when they see revenue coming in through organic search, it's self-evident the progress is being made.
That's awesome. I mean, listeners, viewers, when we talk about marketing leadership, it can't get any better than this. If you've been following my podcast episodes, you see that of course, a previous episode has been about marketing attribution. But if you've been following, and this is to you listeners, you would see that I've always been saying that it's important to show the process, even if you are reporting to a 0.0% conversion rate, for example, which is an abysmal figure. It's important to stick to that, to say, okay, this is what I've got. My process is wrong. This is my plan to change the process. And all things being equal, leadership will always appreciate the process. And that's exactly what Manick has said here. You have to show the process, and you have to do that in a very transparent way. So thank you so much for that great feedback. Okay, let's get into it now. SEO automation. I know a lot of marketers listening. They know what it is. They probably don't know it's called SEO automation. So what is SEO automation, and what do you think are the benefits for B2B marketers?
Yeah, so SEO automation, it's really all about empowering marketing teams to execute growth campaigns faster and more successfully, and hopefully at a lower cost. So SEO automation, and we're going to talk about in this podcast, we're going to talk about things that marketers can do, tasks that can be automated, and we'll go into a whole bunch of examples. So we'll cover all of that. But what I think is the best part about implementing SEO automation in your workflow is that it gives you back time to think more strategically and to see the bigger picture. And then, all importantly, to communicate with your team and mobilize teams around the data, around what's working, around results, and getting all of these people. SEO is, in a lot of ways, it's like an orchestra. There's all these people that are working together in unison, hopefully in like a symphony, to create the content that needs to be created and published. And hopefully that was created with the right strategy and research put in place by the SEO strategist. It's also the technical optimizations for the website that need to be made in order for Google and search engines to understand what the content is about, to index it, and to also deliver it to users in a fast and highly optimized way. It also relates to building authority on websites. So securing backlinks and elevating the footprint of the site so that Google views those backlinks as relevant citations and elevates the rankings of your content versus your competitors. So SEO automation at its best just brings us back time to see the bigger picture and to communicate about it with our teams and to also improve our strategy. And then also, you mentioned reporting, about creating transparency. It's to actually take time and reflect. This was our campaign. This was our strategy. What happened? What were the results? What did we learn? And can we take anything back from what we've executed that didn't work the way that we expected it to, and ask ourselves, well, why didn't that work? What did we learn? My team and I, we do SEO for over 500 brands. And I'll be honest, we don't always on the first try hit gold, right? But it's actually the failures that have taught us the most. And so it's improved our ability to have a really consistent hit rate. And learning and evolving and refining the playbooks, now we've worked in almost every industry. So when a client comes to us in, let's say, B2B SaaS, we're like, okay, we've worked with the following 30 organizations. We know exactly what worked for them and other companies that are in a similar place to them. And that means that we can replicate a strategy and deploy it much faster. And with the SEO automation tools that we're using internally, and also the ones that we've developed with Search Atlas, we are able to execute those tasks so much faster and be more productive with our time, which then allows us to really allow agencies or brands that are working with us with smaller budgets to get more from their investment.
Yeah, you mentioned two things there which kind of stuck to me, and the first one being, time savings. So, from your experience working with all these clients, could you estimate, and this doesn't have to be very accurate, but could you estimate the percentage of time saved? For example, in my days of going through 2000 SEO keywords, if I execute automation, would that save me, maybe it was 5 hours or something like that? How much time would I be able to save by executing all the search automation tactics?
Yeah, so I'm a gray hair, and what I mean by that is I've lost a lot of hair from doing some of these tasks that are highly repetitive, tedious, and manual. And I'll give you one example of a task that's easily automated now that didn't used to be, that can be incredibly time consumptive. Is you have an e-commerce brand, or you have a site that has, let's say, thousands of pages that need new title tags, meta descriptions, and H1s. That used to take someone on our team all day to do, and maybe even a second day to review it again. Now what we're able to do is we're able to do the entire generation process in less than an hour. And that gives us time to review all of the titles, metas, and H1s, and to really think about the copy that we're putting forward to users, to really think about the keyword strategy. So there are some tasks that I think you can save 90% of the time. Honestly, 90% of the time, get back a ton of time. Content generation is another one of those, like creating high value content. Now with the current technology and the tools that are available in the market, and I don't just mean ChatGPT, because so many people are talking about it. It's of course a big buzz, but it's not the full delivery process of content. It's just an engine. It's a tool. There's so many other components that need to go into your SEO content marketing strategy if you're going to use it, that'll be required to get results. But all these tools together, I think, are saving just incredible amounts of time within the SEO community, and I hope that more and more people find their way to use them.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I had a question in mind and you just answered it, which is the competitive landscape over there. And a friend was telling me 2 days ago that ChatGPT is going to fire us all. But I tell him, you have to become the strategist. If you sell clothes, if you sell pizza, be the strategist. Strategist will be the master, and AI being the servant. Well, again, another topic for another day. So, going
Right.
on and moving further into this, I would like to learn from you examples of some of the SEO tasks that can be automated. I think you've mentioned a few in the previous comment there, but is this something you would like to maybe dive a little deeper into?
Definitely. Yeah. So first, when we think about like the full scope of SEO, right? And all of the different kinds of things as SEOs and SEO strategists that we and our teams do, I divide everything into four key pillars. They are number one, authority, building authority to websites. Basically meaning getting those sites to appear more authoritative in the eyes of search engines. So this includes tasks like link building outreach, digital PR and journalist outreach, uh, and providing for link building and for the digital PR, the content that's being published. That used to be a very manual process of doing the outreach really manually. Now, through technology, and this technology is already available in Search Atlas, you can use it today. We've automated outreach. So you can automatically, programmatically outreach people based on keywords that you want to rank for, looking at publishers that are ranking on the first 100 results of Google,
Wow.
and then also branching out to similar keywords, and then also branching out to similar publishers. So it's a matrix, and all of those publishers then are put into a pot where we then gather email addresses and contact information and Twitter handles and a bunch of other data points to then feed into this machine that then initiates the outreach process to communicate with those people. So I really like to think about this as having meaningful conversations with the right people for a brand at scale and automating the really tedious and not fun parts of the workflow. So those are some examples on the authority side. You can also use it to find, toxic backlinks and disavow them. That's becoming less relevant than it used to be, but these tools are also available for that as well, to keep those disavow lists automatically up to date without you having to do it manually. So that's one. That's like the first quadrant of SEO. The second one I would say is like content related. So content, you talked about those 2,000 keywords that you were going through. A big part of this is the planning and research stage of the keyword research, of the keyword clustering, of the content planning. That process used to be a really kind of web-like process. It could take you a long time to do this research and then compile it into a format that it's useful to give to your content teams. But through content planners and content assistants and keyword clustering tools that are now available in the market through tools such as ClearScope, Phrase, SEMrush has some really basic tools like that. Search Atlas has some really great ones. I think we actually were on Product Hunt and won Product of the Day for that toolkit, which I'm really proud of. So a lot of content tasks can be automated. The writing process, generating a content brief, can be done in one click. You don't have to do a bunch of work to put that together anymore. Figuring out what topics are people on the first page of Google writing about for a particular keyword. That process has been fully automated and wrapped up using AI and natural language processing, NLP, to figure out what are the topics and themes that Google wants to see covered in your content in order to rank well in Google. And I'll say, like, that technology has been around for now the last 3-4 years, and it's working beautifully. I think it's one of the easiest things that marketers can be using today, right now, to create content that just ranks better on Google right out of the gate. Also including internal linking. So what other blog posts should I be linking to, or landing pages on this website should I be linking to? For marketers that are more inside an agency and servicing a lot of brands, it can be hard to really know hundreds and hundreds of blog posts that are on a client's website. Which ones should I link to? So using some tools like this one that actually give you hints about relevant internal links, as well as external links, the citations that other people in Google are using that Google is thinking about as relevant. So like if you're in the health space, linking to like the NIH or high quality studies by relevant institutions, putting those links into our content shows Google that we've done our research and we're being really thoughtful. So yeah, and the other few things I mentioned on the content workflows are automating the process using outlines and content using GPT-4, which is really effective at that. And then also, super importantly, managing the workflow side. So once you create this content, you got a bunch of Google Docs maybe. What about actually publishing it to your CMS and making that workflow seamless? So the best SEO automation tools now that are out there will actually allow you to click one click publish to your CMS like WordPress without having to go in and copy and paste and manage like the revisions and the change tracking. So content, there's a whole bunch of use cases there that have been streamlined beautifully using these tools. The next quadrant, 3 of 4, technicals, the technical side of SEO. So this is really all about the technical issues on a website that are hurting its search performance. There are now tools out there that allow you to crawl a website very quickly and create a very concise inventory that is rank sorted from most significant problem to least significant problem and ordered for you. And will actually monitor the website continuously for changes. And as soon as there's a problem, we'll alert you of them. And so tools like that, the best companies out there that do this, I would say Content King really nails it. And Search Atlas also has a really great site auditor out there for this. But it basically saves technical teams a lot of time. As an SEO strategist, I really love it because it means that I don't have to run a crawl from my local computer on like a Screaming Frog, for example, like we used to do, and then take that report and hand it to someone or export it and give it to someone and then redo it every single time there's a change made. No way. I don't need to do that anymore. I can just give them a link to the crawl in the platform, and that crawl is constantly up to date and it summarizes all of the issues cleanly in a very succinct way that includes like additional supplemental resources if you want to learn more about, for example, like what's a good one? Learn more about PSI, like page speed and core web vitals. Why is that important? And how do we optimize our pages for improving those metrics? I, as the search strategist, don't have to go and find those resources every time and hand them to them. They're already included. So just huge time savings there to empower developers on our teams to do a better job with the landing pages they develop for SEO so that we don't have to constantly spot check and monitor their work. This is a kind of a closed loop system. And then finally, the fourth quadrant would be, I'm sorry, I forgot one really important thing on the technical side. To go back to that, the other thing is schema, right? Keeping our landing pages, if you're an e-commerce store, having really good schema markup across our products and our category pages, that can also be a really tedious process and manual. But thankfully today, there are great products out there that are you just drop a line of JavaScript onto your website and they will programmatically manage your schema across the entire domain and keep that schema up to date for you so that Google understands what these pages are about and they get all of the rich snippet data integrated inside that markup. So that's another really great application of SEO automation. And then finally, the last quadrant I would refer to as the industry specific set of search factors, which is also local SEO. And in terms of SEO automation there, we've got great tools out there for GMB content publication. So we can publish content to our GMBs and also boosting search signals for our local maps results to actually improve their rankings and make those like local SEO heat maps go green. So there's a whole bunch of SEO automation tools out there. And I hope that, the listeners today are going to decide, which part of search are they really focused on, which tools can they learn about and get better at, and how do they save and extend themselves, give them more time to spend working on strategy rather than the really minutia part of the search work.
listeners, if you haven't subscribed to this podcast, then you're probably missing a lot. And this is how it happens with every episode. If you look at everything that Manick has said so far, I could easily package that up and sell it into a $5,000 course, and you will buy it. However, this is coming on a platter of gold. Like it's amazing, and I will try to pick out some of the things that you said that are amazing. I think some of the more experienced marketers listening will be like, oh, it's going to mention Ahrefs or Screaming Frog or SEMrush. But if you look at some of the advanced, very niche tools that he mentioned and the kind of things they can do, like automated outreach, like imagine a software being able to automate the famous skyscraper technique, for example. Those are the kind of things that he just, gave to us there. So if I were you, I will pause this, rewind, take notes, then pause as many times as you want. It's okay. And make sure to get this because it's cutting edge. It is the way I see some of this, all of this insight, not just some of them, but all of them. So thank you so much for that, for all that insight, Manick. Moving forward here, we've spoken a lot about tactics, strategy, which I also think is very important. We've spoken a bit of how those tools and the tech stack key into that, and some of some new capabilities that even I personally I've got to learn. But the biggest challenge for marketers will be cost. So I've been using this tool once in a while, Answer the Public, right? And they have this, you can only use it once in a week or a day for free, and you have to pay like, I don't know, 200 plus or something. Don't quote me, listeners, but my point is this: some of these tools can get very expensive. Some of them, have certain pockets of plans that you could use, but when you have justification to management to say, oh, we need to get this solution, and they're starting to look at it, how do we marry cost versus benefits? I just remembered in your opening, you said marketers need to take 1x and deliver that 5 times. So what do you think about that? And have you come across marketers who wouldn't venture into SEO automation because of cost?
That's a great question. And that same karmic philosophy that I talked about for marketers applies to the software products that they're using. If a software product costs too much for a marketer to actually get a return on investment, then it's actually not a good tool. And I think today, one of the things that's a reality of the MarTech space is that a lot of the bigger players are making their SaaS platforms really expensive, and also doing things like annual contracts that you're locked into, and raising their prices and charging per head, and just doing all these things to make their businesses more profitable for themselves. But that doesn't mean more useful for marketers and more useful for the companies that they're servicing. So what I would advise is, a certain amount of your time should be dedicated to trying and exploring new tools. There's always new tools being developed out there that are significantly cheaper than your Ahrefs and your SEMrush and Answer the Public, and then even others that are far more expensive than that even. And a lot of these platforms out there are really built more as community platforms to be used by other search marketers, and they're way more cost effective. So I'll give you an example of a few that I really like that have a pretty generous free tier actually to use, where you can use them and get a lot of benefit from them without really having to pay anything at all, or maybe even just a little bit. Ubersuggest is good. They've got a free tier that you can use. So Neil has done a great job with that product. Search Atlas also has a very generous free tier. So all of the SEO automation that I talked about is available in Search Atlas at a free tier. And the lowest price point, I think, is like $49 a month, which is pretty manageable for a lot of teams. And it comes with very high quotas. Another tool that we've used as well that is cost effective is actually like SEMrush. You can use a lot of the tools in SEMrush without actually having to pay. They have a pretty solid free tier. So what I would suggest is try some of these new tools out, give them a shot, and see how they're actually improving your workflows. I think a very reasonable question to ask if you're talking to a salesperson at any of these software companies, ask them, hey, can I get a 30-day free trial to test this out with my team and see what kind of results I can get and see if it makes sense for us? I think that's a totally reasonable question to ask. And you'd be surprised how many companies will actually be okay with this and give you a extended window to trial their software before you pay for it and see if it's actually improving your workflows. Give it a shot. And to a certain extent, you're going to have a small budget to experiment with tools that you don't end up using and continuing to pay for just to learn. Search is always evolving. It's always changing, and there's always new tools coming out. So trying some of these tools out and putting some resources aside to experiment, I think, is important, because you never really know when you'll find something great. And obviously listening to podcasts like this one is a great way to discover cutting edge technology that's really at the bleeding edge of marketing. And check out those products for sure, and keep listening to find out what new technologies are being released, what new companies are out there that your teams can use to get ahead of the competition.
You heard the man. Subscribe. Okay, thank you so much for that. And yeah, I think that really satisfies a lot of the ponderings of our many listeners here. Moving on again, I would like to, people are taking all this in, they are very excited, but there's also the anxiety of, oh my, where do I start? So how would you advise our marketers to start or get started with SEO automation? It doesn't have to be a cookie clutter approach like 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's just more of like a general guide on some of the things they need to consider as they begin this journey to SEO automation mastery or success.
Yeah, so every marketer has their own strengths and weaknesses. Some marketers are really great with content, and they always have felt comfortable with content strategy. Some marketers are better at the technical side of websites and knowing how they work and crawling them and understanding the issues within the HTML, right? So what I would say is, like, really figure out, where do you feel most comfortable? Where are you most effective as a marketer? And look for tools that allow you to enhance and improve yourself in that arena, make yourself more dangerous, if you will, than other folks using new software tools. And I would really start there. YouTube is a great place as well to go to find tutorials and explainer videos, and to kind of see how other people are using some tools within your vertical, and kind of get a feel for what technologies or what products you might be able to use to get ahead.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
obviously very partial to Search Atlas because we've built it for marketers in the content realm, in the technical realm, in the authority building realm, servicing agencies that need to really do well in all of these arenas. And over the last now 4 years, we've built it and evolved the toolkit to make it even better based on the feedback from marketers itself. So if you haven't started anywhere and you're looking for a place to start with a tool that is free, I would recommend just giving it a shot. It doesn't cost you anything, and it may actually help you evolve and grow significantly as a marketer.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say that looking at a tool like Search Atlas, it enables you to enhance your skill in areas where the big names are missing it, and they are missing it in a lot of ways. So if you're listening right now, visit LinkGraph.io. That would be a good place to start. You can access the product there, and you can also reach out to them on how to get started if you're still confused on the DIY. But yeah, having to build on your strength, I think, is the biggest thing I'm taking from that. I think that's not being the master of all trades, or passive master of all trades, because eventually you become a master of none. Being the master of your niche, and having that tool stack that supports it, But even before the tool stack, it's having the strategy. Um, Nothing works without strategy. You know, the nuances of the implementation is great, they sound good, but if they don't tie into the strategy, it might just uh, amount to a waste of resources and might defeat the purpose of SEO automation in itself. So first, get your strategy dialed in, and once that is done, look into the tech stack as you execute on that strategy. I would like to get your thoughts on an emerging, I would say, I would think it's emerging, an emerging ecosystem, which is the podcast ecosystem. I'm not talking about the podcasts themselves. Podcasts have been around for a while. I listened to my first in 2013, but podcast marketing, as it were, and in terms of the organic traffic side, what are some of the things that you've been seeing in terms of whether it's the strategy or the tools or best practices to rank within podcast platforms? I work. My focus is personally with my job is to continue to learn about that and continue to see how to get that better, either by contributing to the technology as a whole or to the industry, or just basically doing more research to help clients. But I would like to get your perspective on that, because nobody really knows how big the SEO space is going to, the podcast space is going to be. But if it gets as big as we expect it to, then there will be an element of organic search in there where podcast episodes or podcasts themselves start to rank for certain keywords within Apple Podcast Connect, for example, or Spotify, or now YouTube podcast, which is another interesting angle.
Yeah. So one of the most important parts of ranking well in any ecosystem, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Google, or even Apple, is having really high quality metadata. The keywords that people are searching for when they're searching for podcasts, make sure you know how many people are searching for those keywords. You've done your keyword research and use tools to figure out how many people are looking for those terms. And based on that research, include those keywords in your metadata. It's really important. So just having really good and solid metadata is a really key part of this. The second thing I'd say is all of the kind of prevailing ranking factors for media content go into play here. So the number of views or listens that you get, the overall rating of your podcast, very important. How long the listeners are listening to the podcast before they drop off, hopefully all the way to the end. Comments and engagement, all of those things, and even including velocity. How fast are people gravitating and listening to the podcast, and the subscriber counts as well. So all of those factors go into it. And long term, what I've heard from many people that do these podcasts is that there is a growth effect, that the first podcast you put out will always be the first ones. They'll have the humblest audiences, but the more you keep with it and you stick with it, you will build a slow and steady. You'll build it into a snowball that just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and the audience size grows. So if you're a new podcaster and you're just getting into it now, good to keep going and persist and continue to improve your metadata and your keyword strategy along the way. And a lot of those other metrics that are just related to performance and people listening, those will also come with time. And you can also promote. Obviously, you have to push yourself and promote yourself through all of the channels that are available to you and build your brand. That's a key part of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Podcast SEO at this stage is a bit ancient. However, yeah, I think you've nailed it as regards to the important best practices and how to position your podcast for growth. Because 5 years from now, if we have this conversation, I'm sure we'll also start to discuss tools and strategies, just like how we would do with the conventional web. So for you marketers, get in now. If you're doing this for yourself or for your brand or for your organization, then it's better to get in now and execute on some of the if not all, of the recommendations that Manick just shared. I just wanted to put in a bonus question. This is not SEO specific, but it's automation specific. So, knowing you have great experience being an expert in search engine marketing, the paid side of search, would you like to share some of the automation ideas or strategies that you use in your day-to-day and you think our marketers can benefit from?
Also, in the paid search side, what we do a lot is we use the content planning tools for SEO, the ones that so you feed them a keyword, like a root keyword that you're trying to rank for. So let's say, for example, it was something like garden tools is what you start with. It will give you a whole bunch of clustered keywords about all the different types of garden tools that are out there and different search terms that people are using within this arena. And the way that this content planner works, and other content planners work as well, is they go to Google, they search for the keyword, they look at the sites that are ranking, and they find other similar keywords that those sites are ranking for and content that those sites have put out that's related to your keyword search. So it's a pretty wide universe. One keyword then results in tens of thousands of keywords. And then those keywords are clustered based on the tokens or just the words within the keywords. So you basically get neatly defined keyword clusters and silos that each include their own click-through rates, cost per click, search volume, search intent, all those kinds of metrics. And once you have all that data and you look at it, you can pick the keyword clusters that you want to target, both in organic as well as in paid media. And then take those clusters and bring them to AdWords and launch them there, and they're already pre-clustered for you. So it can save a lot of time for paid search automation.
Oh yeah, that's incredibly valuable. I know that Google Ads does have some version of that too. I don't think it's mature yet, but when you run on the famous keyword planner, you get on your right like a set of clusters, whether it's by brand or some other factor. So the key lesson here is, using any tool out there, and using the keyword cluster strategy to not just only pick relevant themes to your objective, but to also divide your PPC or paid search campaigns into, ad groups or insertion orders, depending on where you are in the PPC space. So yeah, that's really helpful. It's been fun listening to you, Manick, all the incredible wisdom that you shared, and I'm just wondering where can our marketers find you if they need help growing their traffic, delivering commercial value on the enterprise side, or just career advice in general?
Yeah, I'm super available and easy to get in touch with. My email is manick@linkgraph.io. That's MANICK @linkgraph.io. You can also Google me and find my personal website and reach out to me there or on Twitter. Pretty easy to get a hold of, and happy to help in any way. Always willing to share knowledge and best practices with other marketers.
Awesome. That's all for today. Thank you for listening. There will be links to the episode resources in the show notes. Follow me on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, and also subscribe to Apple and Spotify. Till the next episode, connect the dots.
Thank you for listening to the Marketing Leadership Podcast, brought to you by Dots Loves Marketing. There will be links to any resources mentioned in today's show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star review and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.